Everyone agrees Jesus died. But how does that prove anything? If he stayed dead, Christianity crumbles. Yet the crucifixion under Pontius Pilate around AD 30 or 33 is one of the most certain facts in ancient history. Welcome back to Jesus Unfiltered, historical evidence that changes everything, including my life. In episode 1, we confirmed his existence. In episode 2, we saw the prophecies he fulfilled. Now, the cross. Drawing from Lee Strobel's The Case for Christ, especially the medical interview with Dr. Alexander Metherell, will examine why virtually no serious scholars doubts Jesus was crucified to death. Even skeptics like Bart Ehrman call it one of the most secure facts we have about his life. Let's investigate. The historical record is rock solid. Non-Christian sources confirm it. Tacitus, Roman historian, AD 116. Christus suffered the extreme penalty during the reign of Tiberius at the hands of one of our procurators, Pontius Pilate. Tacitus, Annals 15:4. Josephus, Jewish historian, AD 93, when Pilate had condemned him to the cross. Josephus, the Antiquities, 1833. Strobel interviewed historian Edward Yamachi, who emphasized these sources show Jesus was executed by Pilate at the suggestion of the Jewish leaders, a shameful death for a claimed Messiah. Yamachi noted the details align perfectly with Roman practices. No serious historian disputes this. Scripture also anchors this historically. John 19:16. Then Pilate delivered him to them to be crucified. So they took Jesus and led him away. To understand why Jesus was absolutely dead, we need to look closely at the Roman crucifixion methods, perfected over centuries as a psychological warfare against slaves, rebels, and non-citizens. It was designed for maximum suffering, public humiliation, and deterrence. This process, this chapter in Case for Christ really hit me deeply. This was a very brutal practice. The process began with scourging. The victim was stripped, tied to a post, and lashed with a flagrum. Basically, it's a short whip with multiple leather thongs embedded with sharp bone fragments, metal balls, or hooks. Roman soldiers often gave far more than the Jewish limit of 39 lashes. This tore flesh down to muscle and bone. Lacerated blood vessels caused massive blood loss and frequently sent the victim into hypovolemic shock, low blood volume that makes the heart race futilely. So Dr. Alexander Metherell, a physician interviewed by Strobel, explains that many victims died from just the scourging alone. A lot of them just died right there. It was so horrific. Jesus, already weakened by extreme stress in Gethsemane, the Garden of Gethsemane. Basically, they're saying he was sweating blood, was near collapse before he even got to the cross. So next is the condemned carried the crossbeam. So the cross that we see, the condemned, the people that were about to die had to carry the heavy crossbeam weighing between 75 to 125 pounds to the execution site, often stumbling in weakness. So they've already been beaten, whipped, and then they have to carry their cross. The upright stripes was fixed in the ground and reused. So they were just carrying. So I guess it was just like that long thing right there. They had to carry that. So at Golgotha, the victim was nailed or tied to the beam. Iron nails, typically 5 to 7 inches long, were driven through the wrists between the radius and the ulna bones, not the palms. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Like that was making sense to me because we've always thought the palms, but that would just like slide through. It was the wrist, crushing the median nerve and sending searing electric-like pain up the arms. Feet were nailed together or separately, often with the legs bent or straddled. Archaeological confirms. So like this is all like the crucifixions were proven. There is first century heel bone from Jerusalem shows a nail still embedded. Once hoisted 9 to 12 feet in the air, death comes slowly, usually hours to days from asphyxiation. The weight of the body is pulled downward, compressing the diaphragm and lungs. So to breathe, this is crazy. This is what I think hit me so the most. To breathe, the victim had to push up painfully on their nailed feet. Like they had to like lift themselves up to take a breath. Tearing wounds further until exhaustion set in. Additional causes included dehydration, exposure, shock, and birds pecking at open wounds. Bodies were often left hanging to rot as a warning and actually denying burial. For Jesus, scripture matches these details precisely. Scourged, Matthew 27:26. When he had scourged Jesus, he delivered him to be crucified. Here it talks about carrying the cross in John 19:17. And he, bearing his cross, went out. Nailed, John 20:25. Unless I see in his hands the print of the nails. Roman military discipline was ruthless. Soldiers on guard duty, especially at a sealed tomb, as in Matthew 27:65-66, which says, Pilate said to them, "You have a guard. Go, make it as secure as you know how." So they went and made the tomb secure, sealing the stone and setting the guard. There was a guard at Jesus's tomb. And these guards, if they were to be guarding a tomb, they face severe punishment for failure. They would be killed themselves. So dereliction of duty, sleeping on watch, or allowing a prisoner or body to escape meant death. The soldier was beaten or stoned to death by his own comrades. And Polybius describes the ritual: touched by a tribune, then pummeled by the unit to enforce collective responsibility. So no guard in their right mind would want to leave that post. Like they were in charge, like their life depended on it. In crucifixion context, guards certified death before removal. If a body disappeared or was stolen, the responsible soldiers faced execution, often crucified themselves or beheaded. So this explains why the empty tomb report terrified them. Matthew 28:11-15. They risked death by admitting failure. So why was Jesus absolutely dead? We have to prove that he was actually dead. Dr. Matherall ruled out survival. Scourging caused catastrophic blood loss and shock. Nailing severed major nerves and vessels. Prolonged asphyxiation on the cross ensured cardiac and respiratory failure. The final spear thrust. Jesus also, there was a final spear thrust in him. John 19:34. But one of the soldiers pierced his side with a spear, and immediately blood and water came out, pierced the heart and the pericardial sac. The separation of blood, clotted and watery fluid, a pericardial effusion, is a post-mortem phenomenon, only possible after death. So modern forensic analysis, including the 1986 Journal of the American Medical Association article on crucifixion, concludes Jesus was dead before the spear wound. Jesus died on that cross. No one could survive this sequence, much less revive in a cold tomb wrapped in 75 to 100 pounds of spices and linens. So the objections. Some claim exaggeration or legend, but crucifixion details match the Roman archaeology. The nailed heel bone, historical records, scholars like Imran affirm it is indisputable. The embarrassing detail, crucified between criminals, adds authenticity. Fabricators would have glorified it. Strobel reflects, if Jesus died, the story should have ended. It should have ended on the cross, but it didn't. Something transformed fearful disciples into bold proclaimers. The crucifixion is undisputed. Jesus died under Pilate, as prophecy foretold in Isaiah 53:5. He was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement for our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. But death isn't the end. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are enjoying these, subscribe or share with a friend. And our next one is the empty tomb, fact or fiction. Examine the evidence and what's your verdict. Thanks for watching. Next time, why the tomb was found empty.